All right, so that is really, really loud. Now, too loud for the street. This is a street car. Sounds really good with open exhaust. And, you know, when I first cranked it up, I was 250 feet away. And it's loud. It's really loud. Anyway, we're going to put some exhaust on FrankenNova. Now, when I built this car, I tried to use a bunch of parts I had laying around. One of them was 2.5-inch exhaust with some Flowmaster mufflers on it that I'd had forever. Well, I took those off of this car, put them on the budget car, and now it's gone. So what I'm going to do is put new 3-inch exhaust on FrankenNova and hope it sounds really good. So I went to Summit and I bought a 3-inch exhaust kit with no mufflers. And then I bought some Dynamax 3-inch race bullets. So I'm not sure I'm going to use the tailpipes on this, but we're going to try to put all this together and make decent exhaust. All right, before I get the car jacked up, I'm going to try to piece together what I'm going to try to do with this. So probably going to go something like that, with a muffler right along in here somewhere. Cut that off, cut that section out, probably be okay. That way it starts and the headers, comes in, has my mufflers, and it goes out. And the headers are just a slight difference as far as, I think one is 2 inches farther back than the other, but that's not bad. Grab my other muffler. All right, straight through design. Something like this, and then make me some dumps to go out the back. Now it does come with tailpipes, but I don't think I'm going to use them. All right, so I got the car up pretty high. Not a big fan of having my jack stands extended that far. Well, the front's not so bad. The back is pretty high, but I've also got a jack under the back, so I think I'm pretty safe. Always make sure you have plenty of support when you got something up this high. Okay, now looking under here, both these headers are actually pretty much the same length, which is, must have been the other car I was thinking about, but these are the same length, so no worries there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start on the passenger side, see if I can get my exhaust hooked up right here, kind of run back and see how close to the drive shaft and all that my muffler's going to end up. All right. All right, so I've got my extension tightened up. Got it coming over here. This, I haven't cut anything. This comes down like this, stops right there. Now, got my muffler here, and I want my muffler to kind of sit against the bottom of the floorboard right here. All right, so not against it, obviously, but close to it and away from the drive shaft. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to cut about 1 inch or so off of this piece. So I'll get this one off. Take this one back off. There we go. That's really loud, sorry. All right, so I think I'm going to cut about 1 inch of this off to bring this whole thing over. Now coming over this way, it won't come over but about 1/2 inch. If I think a little over 1 inch here will bring me about 1/2 inch this way because it's at a 45 roughly. So I think I have to double, whatever this way I want it to move, I'm gonna have to at least double that measurement on my cut here, but I don't wanna get too close into the bend. And I don't wanna cut any off this because that's my slip fit, so I don't have a way to expand the pipe. So if I just cut this off 1.5 inches or so right about here, I think it'll move the whole pipe over, but it still won't be too close that I'm hitting my floor pan whenever I put my muffler on. And that'll keep my muffler I don't want my muffler all the way back here just because it's going to be, I mean, before I cut any of the big one off, I'm going to try it. But I do want my turn downs back here by the rear end. So see how it works. straight. I'm going to deburr it real quick, and then we can try it. All right, so what I've got it kind of mocked up, kind of where I want it. It's a little too far inboard for me. I've got a clamp on here. It's not tightened yet. I'm fixing to do that now. I've got my gasket and my collector and all that tight, because that will move some when you tighten everything up. So you want to make sure that's tightened where you're going to have it. And then I'm going to twist this pipe a little bit, so I'm going to have to shorten my kickstand. I've got holding it up, just so I want this pipe and this pipe on the same plane, and they're a little bit off right now. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten up my clamp, crimp it a little bit. Hopefully it holds it in place, and that'll get me close. Now I may end up using a different muffler, and I'll show you why in just a minute. All right, so I got my clamp tightened up. The exhaust is hanging down a little bit more than I want, but it's not bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in the back now and show you why I may use a different muffler. All right, you can see that the muffler's coming out kind of too close to the center for my taste. Now, this whole pipe will come up some. It's hanging down some just because I don't have any support on it, but it will move up a little bit. Now, they make a straight through muffler that has a side outlet or a side inlet center outlet, and that's probably what I'm going to do, and that'll move that pipe over 3 or 4 inches, and then I'll be able to get my turn downs where I want them. All right, so I got the driver's side mounted up now, passenger side's mounted up, and I'm not real happy with how it sits, so I'm going to have to cut the exhaust and angle it over a little bit. Let's look at it. So you can see they're both in the center, or close to the center, and I've got to tweak them a little bit, and I can do that with the when I tighten up the collectors. Well, I mean, the collectors are tight now, but I can loosen them and rotate them a little bit. Pretty much everything else is pretty much symmetrical. But what I want to do is I want to get the side outlet or side inlet center outlet mufflers, and that'll push my outlet over, 3 or 4 inches, somewhere around there. But anyway, it's all up. It's just hanging there because my hanger is going to go on the end of the muffler, and since I'm not going to use these mufflers now, I'm not going to put that on there yet. So let's crank it up and see what it sounds like. Now I have no idea what this is going to sound like. The mufflers are just pushed on there, so hopefully they won't leak any. Everything else should be tight enough not to leak. Okay, so that still might be too loud. Wow. Those are really loud. They sound great, but they are really loud. So now what I've got over here, these tailpipes, and I'll use a section of these and I'll cut me some turn downs out and clean them up and put those on the other mufflers. And then I'll probably also end up pie cutting the exhaust that's on there to where the exhaust is, because right now the exhaust kind of goes like this towards the back. It's not that extreme, but it is that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the inner bends. I'll cut those. I don't have any gas in my welder. I'd go ahead and do it. And I'll flange those back out to where they're parallel with the frame connectors, and then that'll straighten my exhaust up and get it away from the drive shaft just a little bit, because the mufflers that are there are close enough to the drive shaft. Not a big problem, but at the same time, a bigger muffler and the other one might actually have more room to the side of the inlet would be too close to the drive shaft. So anyway, and plus them angled together, I like better symmetry. So I'm going to pie shape them or pie cut them and bend them out and re-weld those back, clean them up. It'll be another car. But for the most part, I really like the exhaust. All right, so I really like the way this exhaust sounds. However, it's going to have to be something different because this is too freaking loud. Now, I know I need to adjust the exhaust a little bit. I need to get the pipes where they're you know, not angled in towards the center of the rear end because I want clearance on around the drive shaft. But at the same time, the mufflers themselves are just too loud. Now, Dynamax race bullets are what these are, and they make an oval muffler with a side inlet center outlet that is what I need, that this kit is actually designed for. But I'm afraid it's going to be just as loud as these, so I'm going to have to do some research and figure out what kind of 3-inch muffler, preferably a straight through muffler, will be a little less loud, because these are so freaking loud. And we're going to spend a lot of hours, a lot of miles in this car for race week. So I do want something that's going to have plenty of flow and make the most power, but got to be able to live in this car for a few hours at a time. And this isn't going to work. It's just too loud. Anyway, so the exhaust kit's not finished. The mufflers aren't the right ones, but it sounds great. We'll see you guys next video.